Let's create Nutcracker characters. To begin, we are going to trace around a Nutcracker template. Now this template is a traditional Nutcracker design, so later on we are going to be modifying it to make our own custom design. But this is a good way to start because it gives you the overall shape and size of a Nutcracker. Now we are going to make our own unique design, and we can choose to make a traditional style Nutcracker or something a little bit more modern. So whatever it is that you're going to do as you're designing your Nutcracker character, you want to pay attention to what details will indicate what your Nutcracker is about or what their personality is or what job they do. It might be helpful to look at examples of different outfits for different careers or whatever it is that you're trying to represent. For my example, I am making a firefighter. Anytime that the traditional template doesn't fit my vision for what my character should be looking like, then I am going to go ahead and change it or modify it by erasing some parts and then drawing in new details. For example, my firefighter does not need to be wearing tall boots, so I'm going to be erasing the edges of the top of the boots to make this have long pants that go all the way down to the shoes. Because the tracer goes all the way up to the edge of the paper on the top, we need to make the hat or whatever we're putting on top of the head separately. The easiest way to do that is to use the tracer and make a top of the head shape in an empty part of your paper, and then design the hat on top of that. Make sure that your hat is going to be sitting on the head, not just sitting on the tippity top where the line is, but actually sitting across where the forehead would be, just like any other hat that you might be wearing. You can also use this same technique if you want to do a hairstyle that is going to be bigger than just the outline of the head. You could add it in the same way if you don't want to add a hat. Remember to erase any pencil lines that you don't need so that your design looks really clean and well thought out. I like to add the facial features last because they are sometimes the most complicated. So the first thing we're going to do is give ourselves some guidelines on the face by dividing it up with some pencil marks. The eye line is going to be about halfway, and then the next line underneath that is going to show where the top of the mouth is. Then we're going to draw in what would be a Nutcracker mouth, which is kind of squared with the teeth bared. So that is a traditional Nutcracker mouth. And then above that, we're going to add our nose, which you can draw any way that works for you. This is just the way I like to draw a nose. And then after that, we are going to be adding the Nutcracker eyes. Take your time. It is perfectly okay to need to erase and start over. To make it easier to erase, just remember to draw very lightly with your pencil. If you push down really hard on your pencil, it's going to be harder to erase your pencil lines. As you are drawing the Nutcracker's eyes, pay special attention to the shape of the eyes. Make sure you are including a iris, that's the colored part of the eye, and the pupil. And then above that, you might want to add some eyebrows. Now, in a traditional Nutcracker, the eyebrows can be very thick and right on top of the eye. You might want to change that up a little depending on the character that you are designing. After you have finished adding the eyes, you can choose to add 2 circles for some rosy cheeks. That is optional. Think about what other features your Nutcracker might have. Does it have a beard? Does it have hair that's going to be visible or shown? Are you going to instead use yarn afterwards to glue on some hair? Those are all decisions that you should make in this step while you are drawing with pencil. Once you have finished all of your pencil drawing, it is time to go over all of your pencil lines with permanent marker. Permanent black marker is great because it won't smear when you add other colors with maybe water-based markers or other markers or even paints. So I am using 2 different sizes of marker. One has a thicker tip and one has a thinner tip. Another word for the tip is the nib. This is so that I can get a variety of lines in my drawing. Some lines that I make I might want to be thicker, like the outline. Other lines like details in the face or details on the clothing, I might want to use a thinner line. So having 2 different size markers is really great to do that. Once I have completed all of my outlines, I'm going to go ahead and erase all of the visible pencil marks, and then I will color in my entire drawing and cut it out so that it is now a separate piece, almost like a paper doll. I have a few examples of colored in and cut out Nutcracker characters, including the firefighter. Now I'm going to use some white glue to attach the hat to my firefighter. I also have a chef that I made, and I have a retro 70s disco dancer. So you will notice that for the retro 70s disco dancer, I don't have a hat. Instead, I have used the same idea but to make a large hairstyle, and I've also added earrings to that dancer. I also have this example of a traditional nutcracker, and you will notice the biggest difference is that yarn was used to add the hair and the beard compared to just drawing it on like in the examples we already saw. The other thing is that it has some sparkles. We are going to add sparkles to our other three designs using a glitter glue pen. Glitter glue pens are the easiest way to add a few sparkly details just to give your nutcrackers a finishing touch. I have had a lot of fun coming up with my own Nutcracker characters. But what Nutcracker characters will you create?